My name is Linda Martinez de Pedro. I live here, Chimayo, and I've sort of been what I call myself the hearth keeper of this peyote grounds for 37 years here. And I would say that I feel my spiritual journey with peyote carved a most incredible life for me, way beyond anything I ever imagined. When I was in high school, I was 17 years old, and I was hanging out down where the beatniks hang out in Denver at the Denver Folklore Center. I was standing on the street talking to a friend, and I had my hands out. This man came down the street, and all of a sudden it looked like he was making a beeline for me, and it kind of alarmed me, and I didn't know him. I had never met him, and he came up to me, and he put three things in my hand, three little dried, strange-looking little things, and he said, "These are for you." And he just kept walking. "Okay," I said, and I looked at them, and the guy next to me happened to know that it was peyote, and I said, "What is this?" About a week later, somebody showed up at the Denver Folklore Center, and Mana Pardiatan had a studio right around the corner there. They took me over to Mana's, and he was making pottery. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to give you something." So he handed me this bowl, and it had a bird in it with a peyote on its chest. And I turned it over, and it said, "NAC Peyote Ceremony Bowl." Wow, there's peyote again. So I'd never made an altar or gone to a meeting, but somehow it so impressed me that I went home, and I made this little altar in my room. I'd never done anything like that. And I put the medicine in it and sat it up there. And I was really close to my main art teacher, and I went into class early one morning, and she said, "Linda, I have a book that's for you. You must read it. Frank Waters, The Man Who Killed the Deer." And it's the story of how peyote comes to Taos Pueblo, or one of the stories. Little Joe had the real story, the older story. So I read it, and I said, "Well, here's this peyote again." And so about a month later, my dad let me come to Santa Fe to stay with my Aunt Jean, and we went up to Canyon Road, and one of the days we were hanging out. Patrick Sky was singing at the Three Cities of Spain. After we listened to him, we went up to talk. He was a folk singer. That's all we knew. We start talking, and pretty soon he starts revealing that he's been using peyote for years, and I go, "Oh my God, here comes peyote again." Right? Because this was all in a series of months. He said, "In fact, I made a friend here in Santa Fe, and I'm going to go over to her house in a while. Would you like to meet her? Her name is Beth Dickey." About an hour later, Patrick Sky and Arianthe and I went over, and we walked into Beth's, and there was peyote drying in the ceilings, peyote in pots. I'm like, by this time, wow. So, long story short, I went back to Denver, graduated from high school, spent the summer in New York, went to the Newport Folk Festival in '64, got to hear Bobby and Joan live, came back, went to college, I met Randy, and I was miserable in school, and he said, "Well, if you're that unhappy, why don't you just quit? I'll help you move out of your dorm." And so he handed me a Bible with that same bird that Mana had painted in the bowl, and it said NAC. That following spring, I came to Santa Fe. Randy never showed, so when I got to Santa Fe, and I was taken to my first meeting on East Alameda Street in Santa Fe at Emil Pfeiffer's little house. And I ended up within a year of that medicine being given to me in my first peyote ceremony, and Jim Hopper ran it. I guess I knew at that moment why that medicine had been following me as young as I was for a whole year. I knew that I'd waited my whole life to be where I was at that moment.